Brewsers, a podcast about beer, coffee, booze, and bruisers. I'm your host, Rody John, and today we speak to Mark with Twitch Coffee Life. We talk all about their beginnings, having multiple locations, and what the future holds for them. They're such a fantastic coffee place. They also have food. We'll get into that, obviously, in the interview as well. But they are in Crowley, Texas, and in Fort Worth, Texas. So they are just south in the Metroplex, but if you are in the DFW area, make sure to swing by Twitch Coffee Life. While you're doing that, make sure to also sign up for our newsletter. It comes out twice a week. You get even more information about our guests. You get fun facts, and you get to find out what's happening with your favorite podcast, all about beer, coffee, booze, and bruisers. So without further ado, here is Mark with Twitch Coffee Life.
I'd like to welcome the show Mark with Twitch Coffee Life. How are you doing today, sir?
Good. How are you today, John?
Doing well. So we're in your Fort Worth location right now, which is in south part of Fort Worth for people who are not from this area. I guess let's go all the way back in time. What is your earliest memory of coffee?
Earliest memory of coffee. Okay, so my grandparents drank coffee, and they always had a cup on the table, right?
Yep.
And it was black. I mean, bitter, no sugar.
Yeah.
But me as probably 2 or 3 years old, running around grabbing the coffees off the table and sipping at them. Of course, there was the occasional beer too.
Oh, obviously,
yeah,
obviously.
2, 3 years old. Once in a while, I have some memories of, maybe a 4, something like that. But I didn't really like either one of them very much. But
They're both acquired tastes, which is hilarious.
But family, we were definitely into coffee.
Right. That smell of coffee was always something that I always loved. I know my dad always had it going on, and then whenever I went to school, sometimes teachers would have it in the classroom, and I was always like, oh, that's coffee, that's nice. And then the smell off somebody's breath was always a telltale sign that it was coffee. Now, I guess let's go forward. How did Twitch Coffee Life begin?
So my wife and I are avid coffee drinkers.
Okay.
We're from the state of Washington, where we grew up watching companies like Starbucks and Pete's and Seattle's Best kind of grow from being just little local shops to being really influential. I mean, pretty much every city block has coffee shops.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Even in the suburbs, like literally you can drive down the road in the suburbs. You have a strip mall, you have a corner. Every corner gas station has double drive-through coffee shops, right? And so you get a lot of options, a lot of different flavors, a lot of different styles. And so my wife and I were sitting around thinking, we'd really like to start up a coffee shop. My wife's Corey. She's German. She's very, very, very German. Right? And she and I were talking about, well, what would we name it, right? And at the time, I was trying to quit smoking, and I was using electronic cigarettes, which had the liquid that you would buy at the vape shops, right? And so we were talking about, well, I get a little twitchy when I don't get my coffee and my nicotine, right? And so we were like, okay, well, we'll call it Twitch.
Right.
That was in about 2010.
Oh.
2014, Twitch.tv started, and we were like, okay, well, I guess we're onto something, right?
Yeah.
So that's really how the idea of running the coffee shop started. We go to these shops every day,
Of course.
right? And they were always packed, always busy. Yeah. And so when we came to Texas and had the opportunity financially and the right time in our lives to start up a business, I asked her, I said, what do you want to call it? She says, well, we're going to call it Twitch, of course, right? And so the Coffee Life piece kind of came as an addendum to that, right? Because that's what we're all about, is living the coffee life, right? It's not a trendy hipster thing. This is a lifetime thing for us, right? And it's something we wanted to be able to share with folks here in Texas.
Right. Now, what brought you down to Texas?
We moved down here for a lot of different reasons. It was during COVID.
Okay. Oh, right, because Seattle got hit almost harder than New York did. Yeah,
harder than almost anywhere.
I think it was the first place.
Yeah. So Evergreen Hospital had the first cases of COVID. We did get hit really hard. We were locked down pretty tremendously during that time. Yeah. And we didn't leave just because of COVID. There were a lot of personal reasons why we wanted to leave. The state's changed a lot over the years.
Yeah.
Kind of felt like when I moved there, like 26 years ago, whatever that year was, 1998. I felt like it was free. kind of people were encouraged to just kind of be who they were. It was fun, you know. It was a neat vibe. I'd never been anywhere where it was so accepting of everything.
Right.
And it's just not quite like that anymore. We still love it. We love the mountains, the rivers and lakes and the ocean. It's gorgeous, right?
Yeah.
And for the most part, the people are pretty rad too. I mean, we've got colleagues and friends and family that live up there.
Yeah.
But we came to Texas. We kind of fell in love with it right off.
Yeah.
It was like coming home in a way. And so that's why we ended up here.
Very nice.
You know, a lot of different reasons. Our kid was able to go to school. You know,
Yeah.
cost of living didn't really have as much to do. We still worked for the same companies and such, and you know, it wasn't. We were in tech sales, and she was an accountant for the company, and so we did pretty well. But it was there was a lot about Texas that we really fell in love with, and so that's where we ended up. We ended up staying here. We've been here now since we just finished our third year.
Congratulations. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Welcome to Texas office.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now, so you already mentioned where the name come from. Where did the logo come from?
Oh, the logo. So we have a friend of ours in the neighborhood who runs a branding company.
Nice.
Rebranded as Emprise Agency. Maria Carlson made the logo, and you know, the idea was we really liked the idea of the cartoon character. We wanted to be able to put out some stickers. I mean, you learn from different entities in the business, right?
Yeah.
You know, our friends over there at Dutch Bros. I'm from Grants Pass, Oregon, by the way.
Okay.
Where
nice.
Dutch Bros was
Dutch
founded,
Bros is
right?
fantastic.
So one of the really
taking
cool
over the
things,
country.
one of the really cool things that they always did was they handed out stickers to the kids,
Still
and we
do.
felt that was a really cool thing. So we wanted to make sure we had a logo that would attribute itself to a cool sticker, right?
Nice.
And it does. So the little bunny, you know, with the
Yeah.
bean nose, Maria came up with that, and we thought that was a really cool
Now, do you have a mascot uniform yet?
I don't, but we did. We did just buy a bunny hat.
Hey.
We're actively hiring sign spinners right now.
Perfect.
For both locations, and so we did bring in a kind of a bunny hat. It's kind of like a Mad Hatter type hat,
Of course.
you know.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome. Yeah, I was curious because the bunny outfit would work out perfect
Yep.
for everybody.
Yep. And, well, and the bunny's twitchy.
Of course.
They're
it
always
has to be.
they're always twitching,
Yeah.
right? So.
Now, you opened this first location here in Fort Worth. How did you land on this location?
So we were introduced to the owner of this location through a real estate agent,
Okay.
And he actually owned several of the cleaning companies. Jet Cleaners used to be in this location. They were also in our location in Alvarado, and I'm going to call it Alvarado because that's the locals like calling it Alvarado, right? And so he owned those locations. He also owns one a little further down Crowley Road in Crowley, right next to the Kroger. We were trying to actually get all three. In hindsight, it's probably better that we did. This was a huge undertaking, but yeah. So we got both locations contracted at the same time.
Wow.
We had to build them out. They were wide open. You know, they were.
Well, of course, they're cleaners, so they
So we had to change the occupancy, get them built out for all of our equipment and all of our staff. We had to create a hallway here that goes all the way back. So that was it was an expensive undertaking, but in the end, we kind of have our own brand. Both buildings are the same style.
Yeah.
They're mirrored. We're on the opposite side in Alvarado. So
hilarious.
but you know, drive-through dining area
Yeah.
and plenty of room for sitting and, you know, just enjoying yourself.
Yeah. Now, when it does come to a coffee place, there are some that are just you have to walk up, come inside, get it, even if you want it to go. Did you find that it was better to have a drive-through, or did you want to just have one and not the other, or was it good that you had both?
No, that's a good question. We actually wanted double drive-throughs.
Oh.
We didn't want initially. We didn't intend to open up a sit-down space. But you learn about your market and you learn about what people want, and Texas seems to be very different in terms of the coffee profile, right? People in Texas tend to be a little more laid back.
A little bit.
They want to come in and sit down and you know, talk with their friends and family and enjoy a meal and enjoy some coffee.
Sometimes
and
squat for 8 hours. and just work
Exactly. And we were honestly surprised because in the industry, if you look at the nation, in the industry, drive-thrus are always busier than sit-down, unless you're in like a town square or a really trendy kind of like we were in Deep Ellum the other day. You know, they people sitting down there in the coffee shop. You know, it's very common. But so lost my train of thought.
fine.
Might have to pause there.
No, drive-through, sit down.
Yeah, drive-throughs. So what we found is the drive-through in small town is busier.
Facts.
Yep, the drive-through in Fort Worth is not as busy.
Interesting.
We get a lot more walk-in traffic, getting people coming in here to sit down.
Huh.
A lot of people like to sit down next to this logo here and take their pictures.
Of course, yeah.
Right? It's become. I mean, I had said earlier that we don't have a huge Instagram presence, but if you look at the people that are posting to Instagram that tag us, it's all people sitting in front of this cool logo. So
So when you were talking about this long hallway,
yeah.
I feel like you could have so many different selfie pictures all the way down that
Yeah.
I'm just
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
We've been kind of toying around with the idea of how to use this hallway. So we have, at different times we've reached out to folks in the art community. We've reached out to folks, we'd love to be able to offer to artists to be able to display their art if they want
Art
to
gallery.
for sale,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
For sale. I don't know if we have enough traffic yet to make it really appealing, but it's still on the table. It's something we're definitely interested in doing.
You could almost do half and half, where one side is an art gallery where it has all their art, and the other side you just do different murals, and then
I
people
love
take
it.
pictures.
Yep,
and
I love it. And I love the idea of having people be able to do something.
Yes.
Whether it's again, we have to look at our market, right? You look at places like Mod Pizza; they have a wall that you can scratch your name into. It's really cool. You've got other places that have chalkboards. You have other places that have, where the kids get to do their drawings and put them up on the wall. I mean, there's a whole bunch of different stuff that we've seen over the years. We're still kind of trying to find our niche there, to see where we want it to fit. We wanted to really focus on getting the shops open, focus on the coffee, the taste, the quality, making sure that people are really happy with what they get first. But yeah, we're starting to develop a little bit of a vibe here.
Yeah, that was working out really well. So do you feel that since you noticed that there was more of a kind of walk-in, sit-down, hang out kind of vibe, do you see yourself in the future maybe opening the sit-down area a little more than you would normally?
Yeah, so we'll have to kind of play it by ear as we build out new facilities. We have every intention of moving into new markets. It really kind of depends on where we are. Obviously. If we can get into that, let's say that kind of a town square location, then we definitely want to start looking at having the just walk in, no drive-through, right? If we're talking about the leasing a little spot on somebody's land and having the little coffee hut, then obviously we don't really care a whole lot about sit down at all there. We want to go straight drive-through.
Yeah.
And in that case, we would like the double drive-through. We don't see them here in Texas. Nobody has them.
It's true.
Very uncommon. And we find it's really effective having two baristas in one small location. They can just knock out drinks super fast.
And then they can also compete with each other as well.
They can, and people will have their favorites.
Yeah.
And they'll want to go to the site that has the. Yeah, exactly. That's a really good point. We had a coffee shop just around from our home. We drove the same commute for 12 years.
Wow.
And you'd go up. You knew which side your barista was on, and we knew them by name.
Yeah.
So it was something we really wanted to bring that to Texas. Found a lot about Texas that's great. We don't want to change it, but Texas needs more coffee, and we want to bring it.
Big time. Oh, perfect. I love that. That's your tagline, really.
Yeah.
Now, moving here to Texas, obviously you notice people are more laid back, and then with your menu, obviously it's kind of mirrored that the tastes here in Texas are a little bit different than they are in Washington. So
it's true.
What have you learned when it does come to Texas and Texans in general?
Yeah, so some things we brought to the menu. We definitely have always had a good, positive feeling for that kind of Tejano culture and that kind of a vibe. We didn't want to do what everybody else does and put pure Tex-Mex on our menu, because you can go to 500 restaurants in the DFW area and they all serve the same thing. So we wanted to do something a little different. So we brought a little bit of our family culture to the menu by bringing in all of the hot press sandwiches, right? Yeah. And so, I mean, down on the surface, it's just a grilled cheese, right? But it has different stuff on it, and we put different types of bread.